Okay, so, oh my god, like this morning, so I got up and went pee-pee at 5:30 a.m. And so I was asking the aliens, okay, I have to sleep for another hour and a half because I don't get up till like 7. Well, sometimes I get up at 6:30. And I was like, I hope I get something good, give me an experience. Well, lo and behold, I got something. And so it was, when I went back to sleep at 5:30, it happened between 5:30 to, almost 7 or whatever, this experience. And I was asking them not long ago, I was like, come give me an experience, awesome OBE lucid dream, virtual reality lucid dream, take me to another mansion or whatever. I was asking them that, I can't remember, several days ago or whatever, and then sometimes they just don't answer you till several days later. So I got something. I mean, I know I had some dreams before that, but I had already forgotten them. But I don't care because I only wanted to remember this one. And okay, so this is really weird, and that's not the first time they've done this, but they've taken me to places again. I mean, they've taken me to places, like more than once, to the same place. Like for instance, this mansion. They've done it before. They've taken me to the same place more than once under virtual reality OBE lucid dream. And it's not like this is the only time they've ever done this, except they just change it a little bit. So it's just kind of like sticking in, I don't know what a good example is. Sticking in oh yeah, okay, so it's just like sticking in, what do you call it? Well, a video or something. You stick your own little video in of the little SD card, and then you put it through an editing program and you just change it around a little bit. So like that's what they kind of can do, the reptilians. And these kind of experiences, is those flat-faced beings, the flat-faced reptilians, they like to give me these kind of awesome virtual reality OBE lucid dreams. And okay, so even when I was under the experience, I had the thought of, I had the thought of, okay, let's go back to my mansion. But it had been a long time since I've been there. It's like I still owned it and everything, but I hadn't visited it in a long time. I still owned it. I hadn't visited it in a while, and I didn't like permanently live there yet. But it was still my mansion. And so basically the scenario started out, and for whatever reason, this mansion, under my altered state, they placed the mansion way over there on Sunshine Street. Let's see, Sunshine Street, kind of near, not Mama Jean's, Sunshine Street near that dealership or whatever. But in real life, there's no, in real life 3D, there's not any mansions over there. But under the scenario, but that's where a place that I go in real life, so they just took that, changed it in my scenario and put a mansion, in that area. And that's where my mansion was. And I already mentioned all that in the 15 months ago. The other experience I had to the same mansion, which I have it up here. It says, my abduction by aliens, OBE-VR lucid dream to the mansion I bought with the 8-room motel. And that was on October 22nd. That was 15 months ago. Because I wasn't sure. I was like, was that like 6 months ago? And then I went and looked and I was like, wow, that was 15 months ago. And it also had the theme of haunted. Haunted. And that's in that other scenario. It had that theme of haunted. The real estate agent was telling me, pretending like it was haunted because like they didn't want to sell it to me. They wanted to buy it. And then that's all under lucid dream. That was all in that experience 15 months ago. Okay, so guess what? This morning, the aliens took me to that same mansion again. And like I said, but they changed it a little bit. Okay, so basically it started out like this. And then what was the other theme? That was. I thought there was a couple other themes that were similar, because even though it was the same mansion, there was different. You know, the second time around when they took me to the mansion this morning, had different things on the walls. And actually, this one was much bigger. It was much bigger. I mean, much bigger. And much nicer. Even though everything was still really old and outdated, like back from 30, 40 years ago, everything was still immaculate. Even though I could tell everything was like 40 years old. Or maybe a little bit older than that. Okay, so, and of course, under this scenario, and you know, under the mansion in this scenario, under the scenario in this morning, there wasn't the concept of the 8-room motel. The 8-room motel, that wasn't in this scenario, but it was the same mansion that they took me to, so to speak. It was the same mansion, and did that just turn off? Okay, what time is it? Okay, yeah. So basically, I hurried up and wrote everything down because I didn't want to forget anything. Okay, so back to the mansion I bought with the 8-room motel, which that was 15 months ago when I had that experience, and then they took me to the same mansion this morning. And like I said, it started out, okay, I was with, there were some points I was with like one other person, there were some points I was with 2 other people. It seemed like when I was going there, I was kind of like driving there just for a little bit, a few seconds or whatever, and then boom, I got to my mansion. Seemed like a female was with me. I can't remember if it was my sister or not, but a female was with me. And then a couple other times in the mansion, there was at least 2 other guys with me about my same age. And they were familiar to me under the scenario, but now I can't remember who they were. I can't remember what the aliens, you know, what they were trying to copy off of. I can't remember who they were, but under the scenario, they were familiar to me. I just forgot after. Sometimes, yeah, these kind of experiences I have to. It's best if I. Like, some experiences will stay with you. All the details will stay with you for years and years, months and months and months, and some you'll forget some tiny little details as hours and hours and hours go by. So that's why I just try to hurry up, and some of these experiences I'll try to hurry up and write stuff down so I don't forget the tiny little details. Okay, so basically, I was, okay, so there was a little part where I was, you know, driving down, you know, Eager Mill, and then Sunshine Street, and then boom, there was my mansion that I was visiting. And like I said, it had been a while since I've been there to visit it and everything. Okay, so, so once I got into the mansion, and like I say, this was over on, like, Sunshine Street, right off Sunshine Street, under the scenario, not in real life. And so basically, I just started like walking up and down, and I was like, "Wow, everything." I was like, "Yeah, this is the same mansion," and I knew it was the same mansion. You know, like I knew even under the scenario, I was like, "Wow, you know, this is the second time the aliens had taken me to this mansion." I knew it was the same mansion, and that's why I started walking down front and back. It was huge, huge, huge. I mean, it was. Except this mansion was 10 times bigger than that other one. Except it was the same one. And there wasn't any upstairs. And even in that other one, there wasn't any upstairs. It was just like, you know, big, huge, long, and wide and everything. So basically, when I already knew that I was in my same mansion from, you know, under the scenario, I knew it had been a long time since I've been there. So I started walking up, you know, down the big old hallway, or I don't know what you call it. I mean, you know, because it was a mansion, atrium, whatever. And I started observing, like I started looking at the kitchen area, because the kitchen was like, the big kitchen area was right in the middle of the mansion. And then I think I told you in that other scenario, as I went towards the end of the mansion, going north, I think I told you I saw some pool tables and stuff, but that was in that other scenario. and the same mansion in the other scenario. This scenario, I did not see any pool table or anything, but I knew it was the same mansion, my same mansion, and I was even thinking, okay, that's where the kitchen is. I mean, this kitchen is, still the same, same area, the same spot, and the other scenario, remember I told you I saw all these awesome gourmet pies that the previous couple, the wife had made and everything, but they were already deceased. Okay, in this scenario, the original man and everything or man and family that owned the house, well, under the scenario, it just seemed like one man. And that other one, it was like a couple. In this scenario, it was like one man, but he died off. So that's why I went in and bought the mansion. Okay, so I was walking around and I knew that was my same mansion, but it had been a while since I've been there. Okay, so I was walking around. At some point, oh yeah, by the way, in this scenario, I had a son, and he was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, and so at one point after I started observing and observing my mansion, like, okay, yeah, everything's pretty much stayed the same, and I was thinking all those thoughts, everything pretty much stayed the same and everything. And at one point, so I went over there and walked by the front doors, big, huge doors. And I was sitting there in after I started observing the mansion, the next scene. And when I'm talking about all these scenes, I can't really tell you what happened. Like I say, sometimes my experiences are so good. They're like A+ experiences. I know exactly everything that happened in chronological order, even if it seemed to have lasted 8 or 9 hours. Under this scenario, in non-3D time, in this scenario, I would say it was kind of hard to tell in this scenario, but under this scenario, in non-3D time, I would say, let's see. Well, like I say, this scenario, it's hard to say that kind of reference or whatever, but most of my scenarios it's not. But I'll just say non-3D time, it seemed like it probably lasted, me walking around forever and ever, and all these scenes looking at my mansion and everything, I would say lasted a good 4 hours in non-3D time. But in real life, this scenario happened when I was in bed between 5:30 a.m. and just a little before 7 a.m. And thank God I didn't get woke up prematurely like that one experience I haven't talked about yet. Because I know I was about to go into the old woman's house, and I couldn't wait, and the freaking alarm woke me up. But anyway, okay, so all these scenes, they're not necessarily in chronological order. This was like a B experience. And so after I started observing, like, okay, yeah, haven't been to my mansion in a long time. Yep, kitchen still looks the same pretty much. And like I said, I don't know how long it had been since I've been to my mansion, but it had been I would say at least a few years or longer. And for whatever reason, I decided to go back and visit my mansion. Okay, so anyway, so after I started observing it and everything, me and my son, we walk over there, kind of in the corner where the front doors are, the big front doors, and these front doors were exactly same spot, just like in that other mansion, 15 months ago. The big doors. We were sitting, me and my son were sitting there. I don't know if we were sitting in chairs or a couch, but we were sitting there, and all of a sudden, this ghost popped up. She was a 7-year-old. She looked about she may have looked more like 6 years old. My son was about 7. He had short hair. The girl had long, lightish brown hair. She looked about 6. A ghost popped up, and she popped up as a ghost, and I was looking at her, and I even was touching her, and she was ethereal. And I was asking my son, I was like, don't you see that? And he was like, no, I don't see it. And finally, she just disappeared, and I didn't see her anymore. The alien had put that in there because I just watched a stupid Amish movie. I didn't even watch it all. It was stupid. And there was, ghosts. There was like an Amish ghost in it. So the aliens put that theme in here about the ghosts, about the haunting. But the funny thing is, that was one of the same themes that was in the last scenario when they took me to the same mansion 15 months ago about, hauntings. And the reason why they put that theme about my son was because, remember the other day I was saying is, well, I don't know if I posted that video yet, but I was like, Truman, are you sure Simba's not your son because he looks like you? So the aliens put that son, they put a son in my scenario, and he was about 7. The ghost female, and they both were attractive. They weren't ugly at all. They were attractive. And just normal looking kids. I mean, the ghost, normal looking girl, and my son was normal looking. They weren't weird looking or anything. And okay, so after that, I further started walking around a little. Now after that, my son never did come back into the scene. So after that, I started walking around a little more and observing my mansion to see if anything, had changed or whatever, or to see if any, like, vandals. That's another thing why I was observing so much. I was just trying to see if any vandals and stuff got in there, because in real life I like to watch abandoned houses and stuff. So that's why they kind of put those thoughts in my head, the aliens, when I was under the scenario, and I was kind of shocked how clean everything was. And nothing was dilapidated or anything. And, except I could just tell everything was dated. Everything was kind of older, like back 30, 40, retro, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever. Still hanging on the walls and everything. Okay, so the next scene, and like I say, these aren't necessarily in 100% chronological order. The next scene, my son leaves the scene and the ghost girl leaves the scene. And then, I kind of walk. It seems like I'm kind of not too far away from the kitchen, not too far away from the front doors. And there's a little area where the son of the owner, all of a sudden the son pops into the scene, and he's standing there, and he looked about 50 years old. He was the son of the deceased guy that owned the mansion, before I bought it. And so he was standing there, and he kind of had more lightish, grayish, short, blondish hair. And he looked about 50, maybe he was 55. And he was average height, maybe about 5'10", 5'11". And so I was looking at a little workout area. It was just a small little area, with like a little rack of metal dumbbells or whatever, and some towels. And it was a little workout area, but it was very small workout. I mean, like just as big as this day bed, or a little bit smaller. And it was up against the wall. And so I looked down there, and I saw this. And I just in real life, I gave my dad my prescription knee brace. I need to go get it. I'm gonna go back and get it and everything. But he was having knee problems, so he was gonna try to wear my knee brace. So so that's why the aliens put that in here. They copied that knee brace theme and put it in the scenario. So I reached down and I picked up a knee brace, that had been there a long time. But it was very odd looking. Like the knee thing, instead of the knee part being right in the middle of the prescription knee brace, and the knee brace in the scenario was like this long. It was this long, and the knee part was like way up here, and it was just awkward looking. And I thought, well, that's really mine. I'm going to keep it and take it, back to my main house with me. I was going to go ahead and take that out of the mansion and keep it. And then I looked down again, and I saw this immaculate black motorcycle helmet. And I was just shocked, like how clean it was and how shiny, and it didn't look old at all. Like 40, 50 years old. It didn't look like it had been sitting there for that many years, but both items had been sitting there for, many years. And so I was going to go ahead and steal that and take that, but, I wasn't really stealing it because it was mine anyway. But the son acted like, that was really his items. I guess because he knew that it was really the dad's items, because the dad owned the house. But he left all that shit in there. And then I bought it. All of that stuff was really mine. But he acted like it was his. And so anyway, I was going to go ahead and, take both of those, back to my main home or whatever, which actually in the scenario, it just seemed like my main home was this home in real life. I can't say for sure 100%. I can't remember if the aliens really put that thought in my head or not. But I was definitely going to go ahead and steal, so to speak, but it was mine anyway because I had already bought the mansion. So I was going to go ahead and take that knee brace and the helmet, the motorcycle helmet, and I have a motorcycle helmet in real life and everything, back home with me. Okay, so, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. There's some other stuff, but I just want to make sure I'm not, okay, so, and like I say, in this scenario, my mansion was freaking 10 times bigger than my other mansion, even though it was the same mansion in the other scenario back 15 months ago. Yeah, like I say, I didn't live in this mansion permanently yet. And I didn't live in that other mansion, my other same mansion 15 months ago. Under that scenario, the aliens never told me that. The aliens never programmed me to think, okay, when am I going to go back there and live there permanently? They never, programmed that for me. But like I say, I didn't live there permanently in each times. And like I said, I knew even under this scenario, when I was under there, I was like, wow, this is the same mansion that the aliens had taken me to before. I already knew that. And like I said, for whatever reason, under the scenario, I had the thoughts of, okay, let's go. Like I said, I think my sister was with me, and I was like, let's go back to my mansion and check it out. Make sure it hadn't been going downhill or dilapidating or whatever. And like I say, also I owned it in this scenario too as well. In that other scenario, I bought it. There was some... But like I said, the only differences was that the mansion, this time, there was many, many different items, left behind and on the walls and stuff. And like I say, in this scenario, the mansion was 10 times bigger than my last mansion. Okay, like I say, the ghost woman, she appeared for quite some time. We sat there for quite some time. And I was just looking at her and looking at her. It just didn't just happen for a couple seconds. She was in front of me, for quite some time, several minutes. And we were sitting there for several minutes, me, the son, and then the ghost popped up. And I was just like, don't you see her? Don't you see her? And he was like, no. And then I was like, even like trying to touch her. And then finally she did just disappear. But that part lasted for quite some time. Like I said, she had long brownish, lightish brownish hair. Okay, so as I started walking around some more after the little workout scene, okay, I looked up and like I said, there was like, I don't remember seeing any ceilings in the place. There was like no ceilings because it was just so big. I'm sure they were there, but I did not see them in the scenario. The mansion was so, so big. I don't ever remember seeing ceilings. But I looked up at one part. Now this time, I was kind of way beyond the kitchen and that other scene. The gym scene. I walked way over into another area of the mansion. And the walls were white. And that part, I was in a big, I don't know what you call it, big atrium. And the walls were white. And I looked up. And way high on the walls were these big well, to me they looked like they were plastic. They weren't stuffed, or taxidermy or whatever. They were plastic. But I knew that they still were expensive. I knew they had to be expensive because everything in that mansion was super expensive. For whatever reason, when the guy died, everything just got left in the mansion, abandoned, so to speak, left on the walls and stuff. And okay, these oh yeah, they were sharks, by the way. Let's see. Okay, so as I started walking around and I got into the big, huge, wide atrium, I saw at least 5 huge, cheap-looking plastic sharks on the walls as decorations. I mean, they were the sharks were like, this big, like 5 foot, 4.5 foot long. The sharks. And they were just decorations, on the walls. And but like I say, they didn't look they looked like cheap. And I was even thinking that under the scenario, I was like, they look like cheap plastic, but I knew they were not cheap. It being a mansion and everything, I knew, and the guy, being rich that previously owned the mansion, I knew they were not cheap. The aliens put that scenario in here because I had just been to Bass Pro Shop, and I was looking at that big old, I don't know what it was, gar or whatever, and it did almost look fake to me. It almost looked like it could have been like some kind of plastic robot shark. I don't think it was fake, but I just have those thoughts like, wow, it just looked fake. I didn't post that video yet, but I did take a video of that big old gar or whatever the heck it was. But in the scenario, these were sharks. They were definitely sharks. They weren't gars, but they were, about that same size that was at Bass Pro Shop. So the aliens had put those 2 themes under the scenario about it looking cheap and, the sharks, gars, but in the scenario, they were sharks. And they were, like I say, there was about 5 of them as I looked around, and they were just way up there. Or, pretty far up there. And like I said, I don't remember seeing any ceilings or anything because it was just a huge, huge, tall mansion. Okay, so I walked around some more looking at the walls, and what I saw was at least 5 huge, cheap-looking plastic sharks on the walls as decoration. But I knew they probably were expensive, even though they looked cheap. Everything in that place I knew was super expensive. Everything that was left behind. And, okay, and I do remember also, near one of the sharks, I saw some oil paintings with people in them, on the super tall walls. I saw some oil paintings not far from one of the sharks. And it was like some people in it, and I can't remember what else. But these frames, the frame I saw was about like that, and about like that. About as wide as that poster, or big as that poster. And, okay, like I said, the walls were super huge and high. Like I said, this was a huge mansion, and I didn't really see any ceilings. At the start of the scenario, I did walk up and down and look at the huge kitchen area. I think I already told you that. And I was thinking, yep, this is definitely the same mansion as before. And the kitchen was in the same spot. Okay, right now, I think I'll go ahead, because I already typed it down, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, before I talk about the other 2 scenes, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the end of the scenario. Okay, so when I left the mansion at the end of the scenario, I went through a room that had been a party room. Now, I don't know if vandals had came in there and partied, or if that was just left behind from, the 40 or 50 years ago from when the guy owned it. And it has some crap all over the floor, like paper decorations and party graffiti stuff. And there was some round cardboard decorations with like the party shiny graffiti stuff on it. And I even threw one of them as a frisbee against the wall. I threw one like a frisbee since it was round. And there was more than one round one on the floor thrown all over. That was the only room that was kind of unkempt. All the decorations were red. Did I just say that? Okay, all the decorations were red, but the room, the walls were black. Okay, the walls were black with black carpeting, and after I saw that room and how it was kind of unkempt, I knew I needed to eventually go back and clean it up. When I decided to live there permanently or whatever. But and no, this it's very possible I could have this backwards. The walls may have been red, and the decorations black, or the walls were black and the decorations were red. It was vice versa. I can't remember, but I think it was the black walls and the decorations were red, and I threw one of them as frisbee. They were all graffiti decoration stuff, party decorations, and I know the alien had just copied that from my brain because one of the abandoned videos that I was watching on YouTube. I just watched a few minutes of it. They went into like this old brothel and the room was like all red. So the aliens had copied that and put that theme in the scenario about the red and black, and like I said, some parts of that room was black too in that brothel or whatever. And so they put that in here. But there was party stuff thrown on the floor and stuff, the cardboard decorations and stuff like that. Okay, so that was at the end of the scenario. I don't actually remember walking out the door, but that was the end of the scenario. Like I say, I'm pretty sure it was black carpet, black walls, and the decorations were red. Okay, and like I say, another part of the scenario, I was walking with two other people, but I can't remember who it was. It was two guys, though. Oh, did I already say that? By the way, that workout area, it was his ex workout. Oh, yeah, his ex workout area, and here it was the son's ex workout area because the son didn't own it anymore. Oh, did I say it was? Yeah, not the owner, not the father, the son that popped up in the scene. It was his ex workout area. And he, like I said, he thought those two items were his, but they were really mine because I bought the mansion and they left all that stuff behind. Like I say, he looked about 50 or 55. Oh yeah, by the way, did I tell you the motorcycle helmet, I did actually put it on my head and it fit. So that's why I was going to go ahead and take it, back to my permanent home with me. And like I said, I couldn't understand why it was old or dusty looking. And like I say, the son acted like they were his items, but I knew that they were mine since I bought the mansion. Okay, I'm getting to the good parts. Okay, another part when I was walking around, and this was the second scene, or close to the second scene, towards the last, the scene before the last scene of the scenario, or close to the end. Okay, so I was walking around, and this was towards the end of the scenario. I was with two other people. I met up with a small, ritzy hallway with two big doors to a huge auditorium. And the wallpaper was like, it was a small little area. And it was like, the wallpaper was burgundy. It was burgundy, two big doors, and there was some lights. There was some lights on each side of the doors. Burgundy hallways light next to it, even though it was an abandoned old mansion. Yeah, okay, so when I was in the little hallway, we're standing there in the little area to get inside of the auditorium. I kept having thoughts like, wow, everything is still so immaculate and expensive looking, but I could still tell things were, outdated and old. I kept noticing that and having thoughts of that in a scenario. Okay, so then me and the two guys, we actually went inside the auditorium, and all of these, thousands of people, the show, I don't know if it was a show, movie, whatever it was, live show or movie or whatever, they were leaving the auditorium. The show was up. Whatever show it was up, and they started leaving the auditorium. One of the guys said, don't let them see you. Because for whatever reason, it was really weird in this scenario. He said, he acted like don't let all those people see us, because, well, it was like, it was like the auditorium, that part wasn't part of my mansion any longer. Like that was owned by somebody else under the scenario. And so one of the guys, he was just like, just don't let them see you because you're the owner of the mansion now, and they're going to think you're trying to come and claim, the auditorium. But that was already owned by somebody else at this point. So that part was kind of weird. And so, like I say, we opened the doors, we walked in there, and all these thousands of people were getting up and walking out. I'm not sure what door they were going out, but they were getting up and they were leaving. And like I say, I didn't, that part I did not own. Somebody else owned the auditorium, but I guess, previously it was still part of the mansion, but not when I bought the mansion, that wasn't part of my mansion any longer. But we were still as we were visiting my mansion, for whatever reason, the guy, he just didn't think it was a good idea for those people to see us. I guess I don't know. He just didn't. I don't know. He just didn't want us to get caught. For them to see us walking around, the mansion for whatever reason. But I don't know. That part was kind of weird. But yeah, but that's what it was like. It was like he didn't want the people to see us, because like I say, that wasn't really a part of my mansion any longer. That big old auditorium. So okay. So anyway, okay. Here's the other bizarre part, and it was this part was cool and fun. Okay, this was the most bizarre thing in the scenario, and this was towards I think this scene was probably the scene before the auditorium. It was this scene that I'm about to tell you about, the auditorium scene, and then going into the red, black little party room. The party room was pretty good size, with high ceilings, and that was a pretty big room, and then that was the end of the scenario. And this was like the third scene towards the last of the scenario. This one I'm about to talk about, and this was funny. Okay, so this was the most bizarre thing in the scenario, and this is about the middle of the scenario. In the middle of the scenario, as I was walking all around the mansion, looking up at the walls and stuff, and like I said, at the same time, 2 other people were walking with me, about my age or younger. And we came into another huge area, or atrium. It was pretty dang big, and then I looked down, and guess what? We're in about 3 feet of water. We're literally in 3 feet of water. And so over to the left, I go over to the wall, and as far as I remember, this was the same atrium with the sharks and stuff. And so it's like we went back to that big old huge wide hallway, atrium, whatever you call it. And except this time we're walking through like maybe 2.7 feet of water, close to 3 feet of water. And I look over there to the left, and I don't know where the aliens got this idea. Because sometimes they put their own freaking unique touches. They don't take things from my brain sometimes. They put their own unique, weird crap. Bizarre stuff in the scenario. So over to the left, underwater, there was this electrical thingy. Almost, the only thing I could describe it was like a generator. It had like coils, like metal coils. Okay, this generator, metal coil, electrical thing was this big, about this tall. Like a box. It wasn't a box, but it was about as big as a square, like a box. It was underwater, completely submerged underwater, over there by the wall. And like I said, this was the same atrium. If I would have looked up, the sharks should have been up there. I can't remember if I looked up again and saw the sharks again or not. I think I did, actually. Okay, so, and it was like, making these humming noises because it was on. The generator was on, underwater. It was like, bzzz. It was underwater. It was on. It was plugged up. It was on. It was underwater. And oh yeah, and I saw some like red, because like some things, they probably got that from this heater that I have. You see that red in it when you hook up that infrared heater. And so as it was on, I saw like like a heating element. I don't know if it was a heating element, but I saw one little bar of like red on the this electrical appliance, whatever you call it, generator, whatever you call it. I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know where the hell the aliens got the idea, but it was humming, and like I say, there was some bright red, bright red coil on it, almost like a generator. And I kept thinking, okay, first of all, I didn't want to walk close to it, okay, because we were walking in the middle of the atrium in the water, and over there was, we were about 4 feet from it, and I was observing it, and I was like, man, I don't want to walk over. I don't want to get near it because I was afraid I was going to get electrocuted. And I was having thoughts like, why aren't we getting electrocuted? I mean, we were still in the water. We were just 4 or 5 feet away from it. But I didn't even want to get close to it because I was afraid, like, we're going to get electrocuted. But then I knew we should be electrocuted anyway, even being 4 feet away in the water. But we didn't get electrocuted or anything like that. And so we walked over closer to it, and what it was, well, I just told you I didn't know what it was, but I mean, in a way, I don't know what the hell that thing was. But it was a game. Okay, so then, the two guys were standing there, and there was these little glass balls, and you just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of threw them at the game, which was that generator weird-ass thing. I don't know what the hell it was. It was a game, basically. And you threw these little glass balls, like at it or whatever. But basically it was a game. Just a game that you play. Except, like I said, this was the most bizarre thing ever. And, was that scene. And the reason why the aliens put that in there about the glass balls was because I had been watching Price is Right in real life, and they had this, in one of those games where you win 5 little items before you win the big item, they had this little item, and it was like that. Like, there was these little balls, and you like put these little balls. I forgot what kind of game it was, but you like threw these little. I can't remember if they were glass or not. And the Price is Right, but you like threw these little balls in this little game like this little black game. So the alien put that in there and copied that. But that was just so bizarre because it was underwater. And I even knew, I'm like, why aren't we getting electrocuted? I mean, I didn't want to get closer to it because then I was afraid, I'd even get more electrocuted. But as we were walking in the middle and I saw it over there, I mean, I still knew that we still should be getting electrocuted. And like I say, the aliens, they're always putting like dangerous shit like that in my scenarios. Many times but I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. Sometimes they will make me feel like they'll put me in this dangerous situation, and they'll make me feel kind of scared. You know what I mean? But I wasn't scared at all. But I'm just thinking, walking through the water, I'm just thinking, why aren't we getting electrocuted? I mean, that thing was underwater. It was on, and it was even buzzing, buzz, humming. And generators do that if you plug them up or whatever. But you don't stick them underwater. And like I say, but kind of funny how I don't actually remember. Well, like I say, this experience, it wasn't an A+ experience. It was a B experience. But I don't actually even. I mean, I know I was walking in 3 feet of water, but I don't actually remember feeling the water on my legs, if you know what I'm saying. Even though we were in the water, 3 feet of water. Because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't an A+ experience. If it was an A+ experience, it would have been a little more virtual reality. I mean, it was still virtual reality. It just wasn't an A+ experience. But like I say, this was the same damn mansion that they took me to, the 15 months ago, and it was my mansion. So I'm gonna have to ask the aliens to take me there a third time. And alter it a little bit, and this time maybe I will they'll program it to where I'm living there permanently. But like I say, they're always sticking me in these huge houses, either huge houses nice or dilapidated, or mansions, and a lot of times they'll just stick me in like this huge house that I just bought, and I'm just like I'm so what do you call it? I'm just so like overwhelmed because I have like 6-7 bathrooms, and this would just be a normal big house. Like I'll have like 7 bathrooms, and like just and I'll be thinking, and I'll go into the bathroom and I'll be thinking, wow, all I got to do is just clean it and it's gonna look perfect, and I'm all excited about having, just I don't know, because I like to clean, and so the aliens know I like to clean, and so sometimes they'll put that in my scenario, like they'll put me in a house that I just bought with, like, I mean, every 5 feet there's like another bathroom, like it'll be like 5-6 bathrooms, 7-8 bedrooms, and then I'll go in there and I'll be like, wow, it's not too dirty, not too dilapidated, but definitely needs to be dusted and cleaned, and I always know I can perk it up and everything. Though, I mean, they've always been, and I don't know why, they just love giving me scenarios like that, and mansions and stuff, and I don't know why, but they do. Thanks for listening. But I'm going to post that other video from 15 months ago, the same mansion that they put me in. But it was fun. I'm just so glad I got something because, like I say, I know I had some dreams before 5:30. Like, I don't even want to remember them. I don't care because I already had a good one. That's all I know. That's all I care about to remember. And so at 5:30, I had to go pee-pee. I went and sat on the pot, and I was like, okay, come on. I need to get something good. I still have an hour and a half to sleep. So then they, like I say, they gave me something good, so I'm happy.